What's up guys, Saiyan here, coming at you with a thematic deck profile for Star Wars CCG. Been building two decks for probably my favorite, you might be able to see it up there, movie Empire Strikes Back, and probably one of my favorite battles in movies in general, which is the Battle of Hoth. So you may have seen that I got the two-player starter for Hoth. I've asked your opinion, guys. For those of you who are in the Star Wars community, most of you think that it's not a particularly good setup, which I totally agree with, by the way. But it's good to get into the game, nevertheless. But what we're looking at today is the light side Hoth deck that I've built myself. This is my first ever full attempt on building a Star Wars CCG deck from the scratch. Not that it's that difficult, kind of like thematic decks in Star Wars CCG pretty much build themselves. But a couple of things I want to say is that I didn't want these decks to be super technical, so there's not really going to be any objectives. There's not going to be a lot of docking bay kind of stuff in here. We're just going to keep it fairly simple and pretty thematic. I would say there really aren't many cards that aren't related to Hoth somehow. And I also didn't want to include cards that completely screw the opponent over, like Imperial Barrier, Rebel Barrier, stuff like that. There's still a couple of cards, of course, that are kind of able to mess with your opponent's stuff, of course, as you do. But yeah, when it comes to balancing, I hope you guys will give me a slack here, obviously, with me being my first ever attempt on these decks. But without any further ado, let's jump into the light side deck, and I will have the dark side deck for you guys once the remaining cards I need will arrive, which hopefully will be next week. So let's go in. Okay, so first of all, we start, of course, with locations, and for light side of starting location, really kind of needs to be the main power generators here. Of course, with this, you will have the shield, energy shield rules in effect. So the dark side player ideally starts with Hoth planet system, which will mean that you can deploy the fourth marker as well with the main generators, unless Darkside does decide to put one of the markers out, 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th. But again, most likely they will start with the planetary system, just because, you know, I kind of got the whole probe droids Star Destroyer thing going on there. Anyway, so the main power generator means that from all the echo based stuff and until the third marker, everything's shielded, so the dark side cannot deploy anywhere but the fourth marker, or if they wish to, they can deploy it to outer markers as well. But yeah, they can still deploy into the fourth marker and then they march their way into the main power generators. That's obviously what the Rebels, was this deck is of course trying to prevent from happening. If the main power generator is destroyed, light side loses 8 force, which is obviously a good little incentive for the dark side to go after the main power gens, but also they will then be able to, you know, immediately deploy into the echo based stuff and all that thing. So, you know, from that point on, it's pretty much just carnage. So with this in mind, obviously Northridge is obviously a battlefield. Does not count when calculating epic events. So, you know, with the light side Northridge, you do get that basically it doesn't add to the target domain generators, which is kind of good. But obviously, dark side can convert this. I kind of made sure that, you know, many sides can be converted and then converted back. Light side does need, of course, the Hoth system, nevertheless, to make it thematic. So this is a 2-1, so 2 light side, 1 dark side, and whoever controls the Hoth will be able to add power +1 for each starship here for battles on Hoth sides. Now, as long as the shield is up, this only gives the dark side up to the 4th marker, the +1 power. That's why they kind of have to go try and get the main power generator destroyed. Besides that, we have Rendezvous Point. The idea with Rendezvous Point is just to give the light side another space location that does contribute 2 extra force generation, but nothing to the dark side. And the dark side will have Coruscant for the same purpose, basically. And I just thought it's cool to include Rendezvous Point anyway. Mind you guys, I also like mostly built these decks from my card pool. I did order a couple of cards here and there, obviously. As you could tell, I still have a few stuff on delivery for the dark side stuff. That nevertheless, you know, if you like, okay, well, that could be a better choice for that, please leave it in the comments below. But I kind of didn't want to dig too deep into my wallet to get these decks up and running. So we got the Echo Command, Echo Command, the War Room on Hoth, which is good force generation for the dark side, and obviously you kind of want to get a few leaders in here so you can have extra power in the battles. So as long as, you know, dark side controls Hoth, the planet, probably they will, you can still kind of, you know, negate that with your command center. And we do have the docking bay as well, in case somebody does want to go up to space to a ship or something like that. We do have the docking bay. We got Echo Corridor. This is particularly important for the light side, as obviously dark side will be trying to convert sites. So for 4 force, you can basically raise one of your converted sites to the top, and again, it doesn't give any resources to the dark side. And we do have the the meth lab, which really is just another way to generate extra force for us and not give anything to our opponent. I'm not running back to tank. It's a good card, obviously, but I didn't want to weigh up the deck with too many shenanigans. There's obviously there's definitely an argument to have the back to tank in the deck though, because you kind of don't want to lose your characters. And then we got Snow Trench, which is the 2nd marker. Yes, this is the 2nd marker. Now, this is pretty good for battles again. Light side gets +1 to each of their weapon destiny draws. We do have quite a few weapons in the deck. And so, you know, when the battle starts to draw in towards the main generators, then this is obviously what they gotta have to get through as well. And we have the 3rd marker, and this is pretty good for us for cheap deployment. Echo-based troopers deploy -1 here. Now we don't really have many. I think we haven't got any echo-based troopers, but what's important here is that we got a force drain +1 here, as long as we control. So that's pretty cool. Again, just makes it worthwhile for the light side to defend all these different sides. So both decks will have 10 locations. I would say probably the light side deck has a little bit better advantage in pulling the sides out of the deck. But again, I didn't want to like overcomplicate it, so that's just how it is for now. In terms of space support, spaceships in general, we have a red leader in red 1, and we have a gold leader in gold 1. Both of these guys draw a battle destiny if unable to otherwise, so they're fairly strong defense in space. If you do have to go up against a Star Destroyer, then, you know, perhaps 2 of these can take care of 1 Star Destroyer or something like that. But again, it really much comes down to just having something up in space, obviously, so you can go ahead and control the Hoth sector if you feel like that's something you want to do. And we have R2D2 in red 5, which I do know it's a very powerful card, but in case you do want to go up to space with Luke, you can deploy R2D2 in red 5 to the Hoth system and then deploy Luke into the ship in case you want to go somewhere else. You might, probably not, but if you do need like a strong space presence, then you can do that with this card. And of course, the 7 Destiny is just ridiculously good. Now, the fact that you can also deploy Luke here for free is pretty cool. So that can also be like just a good way to get Luke out and then, maybe you want to go ahead and land on the docking bay somewhere, perhaps one of the uh, markers, and then you can take it from there. That's a space package, short but sweet. Let's go into the well, kind of like the characters and their weapons and the vehicles are kind of mixed together, so we kind of see what works with what. I kind of feel like with these decks, you almost need like a piece of paper to write down what pulls what affects what. It's just you kind of remember what you put in the deck. Anyway, we start with Han with heavy blaster pistol, really strong character, obviously with a built-in weapon. And in fact, Han with the heavy blaster is quite cool because he also gets the adds 3 to power of anything he pilots, and adds 1 battle destiny with Luke or Chewie. Really, really, really strong card. Especially just for 4 Force, I think it's a no-brainer. And of course, he's Hoth themed naturally. So really cool card there. And we gotta have the main participants. So we got Chewbacca Protector. I went with Chewbacca Protector because Leia has a pretty important role in this deck. So I kind of want to be able to get Chewie out fairly cheap. You can get Chewie out for 2 if you got Leia um, down already. Adds 2 to power of anything he pilots. So again, he can just jump into a vehicle or jump on a Taunton. It'd be pretty funny to see Chewie on a Taunton, but you can make it happen here. And once per turn, it can basically cancel the text of an opponent's characters with ability less than 4. Sorry, power less than 4. Yep. So that's pretty powerful as well. But again, it's really just to get very powerful, good armor, and it's just generally good with Leia. So I went with Princess Organa. One of the important things is that she's obviously a leader, which is going to be really important if she goes into the war room. Obviously, we'll give +1 power to all our guys on the surface of Hoth. Fairly cheap deployment for the 3 cost, really good 7 forfeit, and we can actually do. I think we can give her some protection. I think we do have something in here. I think we have reflection, which might give her immune to attrition. Yeah, so 7 attrition. So while at a rebel base location, subtract 1 from opponent's force drains at related locations. So gives us obviously a much better defense against our opponent's potential force drains. Not that dark side is gonna necessarily drain a lot, but they certainly can. So this will definitely help us in that matter. Once during each of your deploy phases, may deploy 1 layer of Alderaan Reflection or Leader of ability less than 3 to same location from reserve deck every shuffle. So it's really good is that obviously we can get we got a few more leaders in here. We can pull those out from the deck. We can pull out a Reflection as well. Yeah, we can just thin the deck in general, and obviously we do get the general benefits of having a leader in the war room. Now with Princess Organa, if she does need to go and battle, we have Leia's blaster rifle. Why I chose this card is basically the fact that first of all it deploys for free on Leia, so you kind of want to get this on Leia. It targets for 1 force, which is not too bad. Destiny +1. But what is really important is that if the character is hit, it's immediately lost. So that's pretty important. Is that Leia can just go around. If you need to deal with something, she can just go out there, shoot them with a blaster rifle, and they're immediately lost. They're not even gonna give their power or anything into that battle. So that's pretty cool. And I just thought like as a little extra token there, I'll throw in the mercenary armor if she does need to go out and battle. We can obviously put this on Leia for free, but you can put it on any rebel without an armor for 2 force, so it can just be a good little thing if you want this to be on a Taunton handler, for example. That would be pretty sweet. gain spy skill, which can be really important to go and be able to deploy to areas where the dark side may not necessarily expect you to go. Some of the outer ridges, marker 5, 6, something like that. Power +3 and armor equals 4. Immunity to attrition less than 3. So that's pretty important, I think, for Leia to have an attrition less than 3 immunity there. And well, as I said, I'm not playing Imperial Rebel Barrier. Blasters deploy for free and fire for free on this character. So, if you have to give Leia's blaster rifle to somebody else, then it might be worthwhile to put the mercenary armor down, and then they can just use Leia's blaster for free. That's pretty cool. So this is like the starting setup there. Then we're gonna go into the Rogue Squadron. So we got Rogue One, obviously with its matching pilot and passenger as well. So Rogue One is Luke's snowspeeder, and so we do run Commander Luke Skywalker. Can only deploy to Hoth, but may move elsewhere. And adds 3 to power of anything he pilots, so he's really cool with both Rogue One. He's really cool with Ref 5 as well, but he can jump into any of the other snow speeders if he wants to, or even on a Taunton, make a Taunton like a +3 power, whatever, really good. But also if he pilots Rogue One, which hopefully he will, also has 2 to maneuver, so makes that Rogue One a pretty difficult target to hit. Immune to attrition less than 3, and adds 1 to forfeit each other Rogue Squadron pilot or gunner at same Hoth site. So you kind of want to keep the Rogue Squadron together, and you kind of just want to be able to swoop around, your different parameters and be able to deal with whatever issues the Empire is trying to cause. If he needs to go and battle, I thought at this stage certainly he would still have trusted his blaster more than he would have trusted his lightsaber. Even when he goes back to Cloud City to obviously try and save Han and Leia, his primary weapon is the blaster pistol before he obviously meets Vader, and then they have the famous lightsaber duel between the two of them. But the blaster pistol is a really good card, and I think it's overlooked as well because obviously, why wouldn't you run, Luke with the built-in saber or Luke with a saber? Like Anakin's lightsaber would be also thematic here, naturally, Vampo Cave and all that. But the blaster pistol is really good. 1 to deploy on Luke, 3 on any other warrior. So again, many of your guys will be able to just pick up the blaster and just go with it if they really need to. What's really cool about this one is that if targeted by Luke, target loses immunity to attrition for remainder of turn. That is super, super, super important, because that means that with a really lucky destiny draw, you will be able to take out like even Vader realistically with the blaster. It would have to be a 7, but it is possible because character hit if destiny +1 is higher than ability, so Vader's got an ability of 6. If you draw 7, that's an 8, so you can take out Vader with a 6 or 7 destiny, which is pretty cool. And it can also hit vehicles if the destiny is higher than the armor or the maneuver. Now that is another difficult one, taking out an AT-AT with a blaster pistol, but again, Luke can potentially do it in this deck, so I think it's a pretty cool card to have comboed with Luke. And of course we do need to have Dak, good old Dak, which obviously he obviously wants to go into Rogue One, be the passenger, and aboard a starship as a passenger, adds 1 to starship's weapon destiny draws, adds 3 if aboard Rogue One with Luke. So obviously if he's on Rogue One and we want to like a power harpoon, then we can and we will. So that's why we got Dak in. And again, it's just thematic stuff. You gotta have him in there. Then we got Rogue 2. Rogue 2 and its pilot Zev Seneca. I don't have the co-pilot, the passenger for Rogue 2, but it's probably enough anyway. You can add 2 pilots or passengers immune to attrition less than 3 if Zev is piloting. If piloted, may add 2 to search party destiny draws. We're not really going to be search partying here, but we do have obviously Zev in there, adds 2 to power of any starship it pilots. On Rogue 2 also adds 3 to maneuver, and may draw 1 Battle Destiny if not able to otherwise. It's really just in case. You can pretty much just go ahead, deploy these 2 for 4, and you immediately got a Destiny draw wherever you go. You got a pretty powerful snow speeder immediately at your disposal. And also importantly, Zev, of course, being a warrior as well as a pilot, he can also take any of the guns from the deck if he needs to go around and shoot enemies. And then we got Rogue 3. May add 2 pilots or passengers immune to less than 3 if Veg is piloting, or Wedge even, sorry, and may move as a react only on Hoth sides. The moving as a react is really important because it can be like first respondent to any battle. And we have Commander Wedge Antilles. Adds 3 to power of any starship pilots. On Rogue 3 also adds 2 to maneuver and draws on battle destiny if not able to otherwise. Same story as with Rogue 2. We immediately get a destiny draw. We can deploy these 2 for a cost of 5, which is pretty cool. And also for 2 force, you can take 1 more pass from the reserve deck, which is pretty cool as well. Because again, that's first of all, it's a really cool card, and second of all, obviously, again, we're thinning the deck. We do have Wes to work with Wedge, and Wes will give us 3 plus 3 to the Destiny draw again if he's with Wedge or Jack. So pretty much same story as Rogue 1. We got the passengers, just like again, if you want to go ahead and do harpoon stuff, you can do that there. And we got Rogue 4 with Hobby. Rogue 4 basically is another backup unit, kind of like Rogue 2. Again, it can react on Hoth sites, dual laser cannon, deploys and fires free aboard. We don't actually have that, but what's important is, again, we get immune tradition less than 3 if Hobby is aboard, and Hobby makes it more powerful. And just for backup, we got Coran Horn. He's also a Rogue Squadron member. He adds 2 to power and 2 to maneuver of anything he pilots, so he can be really cool even on Red 5. That can be pretty cool. But I also just kind of put him in because he's got immunity to attrition. Now, the opposing deck doesn't really have any spies in the deck, but I haven't actually explicitly checked. But it's just, again, it's just kind of like your... put him into a ship, got ability 4, so you're gonna get your destiny draw no matter what. And it's a warrior pilot, so he can just be one of your backup warriors, backup pilots. In terms of additional leaders, and unfortunately we can't pull Mon Mothma with Organa, Princess Organa, but it's really important to get Mon Mothma into the war room. Again, she's a leader. She will give all our guys +1 power. And also, while at your war room, subtract from each opponent's battle destinies at all system locations, and adds 2 to the forfeit of all non-unique rebels. And we don't really have any non-unique rebels in the deck, but that subtract 1 from battle destiny draws at all system locations is super, super, super good. And once during each of your deploy phases, may deploy 1 non-unique rebel from reserve deck reshuffle. We do actually have, I do lie, because we do have 2 Taunton handlers and we do have 2 rebel commanders. So yes, I actually did make sure that she does give a bit of a buff, and again, she can thin the deck a little bit. And we got General Carlist Recon. Now Leia can pull him from the deck, another leader, so again, really cool to have him in the war room. Each rebel present with him at a Hoth side is power +1, so he can go out and battle as well. He can wield weapons. He's a warrior. May use 1 force to cancel Death Squadron. Now, the Darks, I was back and forth about including Death Squadron, but I don't think it's really that important for the dark side. They will have enough markers to kind of like have their own little piece of the land on Hoth to sort of get their teams ready to attack. While at an echo site, opponent must occupy an additional Hoth site to cancel echo base operations, which is pretty cool because we do run echo base operations. And as I said, we do run 2 rebel commanders. These can be pulled by Leia as well, and they do get the buff from Mon Mothma, and Mon Mothma can also pull these guys, which is pretty cool. Gives your rebels same site, forfeit +1. So if somehow the Empire does get through the power generator, at least these guys can also be useful. If they can't obviously battle really, well they can. They have ability of 2, which is obviously still good. Power 1 not super good, but you kind of just want to have them in their disposable guys, leaders to go into the war room. And we also have Major Bran Derlin. Major Bran Derlin is not a leader, but he's very good on Hoth. May use 1 force to cancel breach defenses, and opponent may not react to any echo site. It's really the react to any echo site is what we kind of want to use this guy for. And then while at a cantina, he does. We don't have the cantina, so as just another sort of 2 power 2 ability guy. You can put him into the war room. You can look after the other leaders. They can draw Battle Destiny together. Great stuff. And we got KFC. KFC is just really cool to mess with your opponent's Destiny draws, Battle Destiny draws. Kind of want to have KFC again with any of your guys that are on foot. Or just put him in, put her into a battle and just be like, well, your Destiny draws a 0 now. So kind of similar, somewhat similar to what Graham of Tarkin does. So there you go. And then we got 2 Taunton handlers, and we have 2 Tauntons, so they can just run about on Hoth, react away from battles, bring their friends with them. They, if the handler is on the Taunton, draws a Battle Destiny if not able to otherwise, adds to the power of any creature vehicles. So it's just generally a really cool combo that you get for a measly 3 force. It's really cool. And of course, it's very thematic again. We gotta have Tauntons with Taunton handlers in our Hoth deck, right? And then on to the effects, and then on to the interrupts, and then just a couple more weapons. Actually, let's go through the weapons now, because we do have 2 power harpoons. Of course, again, you gotta be thematic. We got the power harpoons, we got 1 more pass, we got the rogues, so obviously they can all go ahead and battle the AT-ATs, the walkers, and for the time being, we also have 2 laser cannons. They only really function if they are on the generator site, but it can be cool. It obviously can potentially take off AT-ATs, which can be cool. And it's giving you another 2 forfeit value there as well at the end of the day. But really, the high 5 is a pretty cool Destiny value too. So we do have echo base operations. It's one of the linchpins of the deck realistically. Deploy on main power generator if you occupy at least 3 echo sites, which shouldn't really be that difficult as long as you can get them out of the deck, and we can get them out of the deck, obviously. At every system location, your deploy is -1, your force drains are +2, and your total power is +3 in battles, which is just absolutely amazing. So really important for the deck. As I said, we do have the reflection here. 3 force to retrieve. Yeah, so we're basically using this to retrieve cards from our lost pile, because obviously there will be losses. There will be cards that may go into the lost pile that we need. It's a decent enough card, I guess. It could be replaced, of course. Another really cool card are Echo Base Garrison. Gives you really cool immunity on your snow speeders. It also is capable of pulling out Lone Rogue, the Hoth Luke, the is that is that special edition? Yeah, special edition wedge, or any Zev or hobby from the reserve deck. So again, you can get your pilots out with Echo-based Garrison. Again, just probably better chance to actually get the snow speeder to it. We have new secret base deploy on first marker. I really did this just to make sure that you can take out those echo sites from your deck, or you can take out a planetary system with two light side icons on them. Of course, both of our decks are two light side icons, so we can convert Hoth. We can put Rendezvous Point into play as well, and it's got a very healthy 5 there for Destiny again. We do have a maneuvering flaps. Deploy on your side of the table. Once during each of your control phases, may use one force. Your combat vehicles and shuttle vehicles are power and force +2, maneuver +1, land speed equals 0. So if you get bogged down in a battle, you just get your maneuvering flaps out and you go into battle with a much more powerful snow speeders. And we do have a mechanical failure just to make sure that we can mess with our opponent's AT-ATs as well. They basically was a power and forfeit 0 until they reach the UTD effect, so that's pretty cool as well. Now I did decide to include a Signal and a Twi'lek Advisor in the decks, and that's basically if I teach my friends to play with the game, for example, they can use it as a used or a starting interrupt. Now for this deck in particular, I would definitely take out Echo Base operations from the starter deck to start with, because this one just says deploy from your reserve deck one effect which has no deploy cost, reshuffle, blah blah blah, and because you will be starting with the main power generator on board, you're immediately able to put this on that site, which is pretty cool. Or just use it as a used interrupt and be able to get your effects out of the deck again. That's pretty neat. 2 rebel base artillery. This is first and foremost to have 2 more 7 destiny value cards in the deck. Plus again, obviously it's Hoth thematic. And basically it will also allow you to just, do an extra force drain, make your opponent lose 1 force. Here and there to use the interrupt, so you can just carry on bringing it out. So you can track the card. You got 2 of it, so we got 3 7 destiny value cards in the deck, which should hopefully guarantee that the weapons hit when they need to hit, or we get the right battle destinies. And we got 1 slight weapons malfunction. That's just to make sure that if we fire with a power harpoon, if we fire with one of the blasters, then we can up that with an extra destiny, which is really powerful. 2 one more pass, same story, but just for the power harpoons, we can add the ability of the pilot to that power harpoon destiny. So, and again, very high destiny value on these as well with a 5. Got 1 weapon levitation. Both decks will have 1 each. That's A, to pull out a weapon, or also potentially steal a weapon from the opponent. So, but it's mostly to get the weapons out of the deck. 2 lone rogues. Naturally, that's just to make sure that we can actually get the snow speeders out of the deck. We can get the pilots. We can get the snow speeders out of the deck, or we can use it to add 1 battle destiny if you find one of the rogue units alone in a battle. So really cool card, actually, Lone Rogue. I like it a lot. It's kind of a shame it's a lost interrupt, but it is very powerful, so kind of understandable. And then last but not least, we have 1 copy of Walker Sighting. Not the best destiny, but it's really powerful. If opponent just moved or deployed an AT-AT to planet site, search your reserve deck for up to 3 exterior sites of that planet and immediately deploy them. And just another way to get some of your Hoth sites out of the deck. Again, yeah, it's kind of like just in there to make sure that we don't end up drawing too many of our dud 0 lands for Battle Destiny or Weapon Destiny. So this is it. Obviously, I guess bit of a long deck profile again, but I kind of like to explain the sort of interactions and why a particular card is in one of these decks. Now, this is my first time actually building a deck, but I did find with Star Wars CCG pretty cool is that you can often really just run with, having one copy of a particular card in the deck, maybe a couple of copies, and you'll be able to pull them out with some other cards, which obviously is pretty helpful. I'm looking forward to get these two decks to play with each other, and then kind of go back to the drawing board and try and balance them out against each other a little bit better. But I kind of was mindful when I was doing that from the get-go. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think. Make sure if you like this, you like, you comment, you subscribe, all that jazz. And up until next time, Bussy and signing out. Peace.